Are you looking for all the latest pro football news and content? Of course you are. Who doesn't love football? The question is, how do you get all the latest pro football news and content? There's so many different pro football podcasts on the internet. Which one do you choose? Which one is the right fit for you? Well, you go with the Across the Middle Show, one of the fastest growing football podcasts out right now. Over the past year, we've climbed the Spotify rankings and become a show you have to listen to if you're a football fan. Find out if the Ravens will go all the way with Odell Beckham Jr. Find out if the Eagles did enough to make it back to the Super Bowl. You'll get all of our best stories for just $1 per month. All you have to do is sign up by clicking the link in the episode description box. It's John Kuzma. Welcome back. We have another great episode of the Across the Middle Show for you guys. We're going to talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. We're also going to talk about the Chiefs too. So let's start with the Aaron Rodgers story. So Aaron Rodgers had a special procedure done on his Achilles called the speed bridge. And a speed bridge is when they put something on your Achilles to help it heal faster. You know, most of the time when you have one of these Achilles injuries, that player is lost for the whole entire season. But with the advancements that they've made in science and medicine, you know, Achilles injuries aren't as bad as they used to be. Remember, you know, back in the past when someone tore their Achilles, that could have been their whole entire career. Fast forward to now, and you look at, you know, some of the people who had this procedure done in the past. The one that really jumps out is Cam Akers from the Los Angeles Rams. Cam Akers had a speed bridge done, and he returned from an Achilles injury in 5 months. So Aaron Rodgers basically had the same thing done, a speed bridge done to his Achilles. Remember, Cam Akers was out for only 5 months, came back for the Rams. So they are getting better at repairing these Achilles injuries, and the time of recovery is much sooner than it has been in the past. So it's very possible that Aaron Rodgers might be able to come back this season, and that's a little bit surprising because everybody thought for sure that he was done. He would have to bounce back next year, but now the timeline is changing a little bit, and people are saying, hey, he might have a shot to come back in January and help the Jets if they do make it to the playoffs. That's what Aaron Rodgers is eyeing. So that would be huge for the Jets if they could get Aaron Rodgers back at some point. Now it's up to Zach Wilson and the Jets to get this team to the playoffs and keep their hopes alive until Aaron Rodgers would have a shot at coming back. The team is dependent on that because it doesn't matter if Aaron Rodgers can come back if this team isn't playing in the playoffs. That's when Aaron Rodgers would be available. So for this team, they have to win some games. They have to find a way to get into the postseason. And if they take care of everything else, it's a real possibility that Aaron Rodgers might be able to come back and give this team a spark in the playoffs. And maybe we won't miss Aaron Rodgers for the whole entire year like we previously thought was going to happen. So there's a little bit of hope on the horizon for not only the Jets, but for Aaron Rodgers too, and for all the fans that were hoping to see Aaron Rodgers this year. Maybe all hope isn't lost yet. Maybe Aaron Rodgers will be able to bounce back and return this year from that Achilles injury, just like Cam Akers was able to do with the Rams. It's a speed bridge. They're really upbeat about the progress they've made with these Achilles injuries because of the speed bridge. It's almost like they put a patch on the Achilles to make sure the area that ruptured is not only healed up, but it also has that patch that stabilizes the previous wound. So that's where we're at with the Aaron Rodgers thing. Maybe if Zach Wilson, you know, does just enough to get this team into the playoffs and maybe a wild card team, maybe Aaron Rodgers can come back for that wild card game and give this team the spark that they need. That's, you know, the best case scenario for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. How amazing would it be to see Aaron Rodgers come back and actually play at a high level in the playoffs after everything that happened? I mean, it would be an incredible story. There's no other way to put it because everybody thought this guy was going to be done. Then it gets to another question later on down the line. You know, if Zach Wilson plays good enough to get this team to the playoffs, do you change things up and go with Aaron Rodgers, who might be a little rusty coming back from the injury, not playing the whole entire season? Obviously, that's a question we might come across later on down the line, but it does make you wonder when you kind of use your foresight a little bit to look down the line. If Zach Wilson gets this team to the playoffs and wins all those games, do you make the change to Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs just because you still think he'll give you more even if he is coming off an Achilles injury? I could see how a lot of people might think that would be the better option. At the same time, though, I'm smart enough to know that game reps matter so much when it comes to football. And that's football at any level. Even if you're looking at a JV football team, if a kid misses a bunch of reps for a couple months, the game starts to surpass them because, those fast twitch movements you get from being in practice every day matter so much. And if you miss time, you start to fall behind. That's just the reality of the situation, no matter what sport it is, because, your muscles have to fire at that high speed of rate in order for you to perform at the high level that you do when you participate in athletics or sports. So, yeah, if Zach Wilson is playing at a high level and Aaron Rodgers has missed a lot of time, that would put the Jets in, a little bit of predicament, because do you go away from Zach Wilson, who would be winning you games and getting you to the playoffs, to go with Aaron Rodgers, who has a higher ceiling and can produce more big plays to the offense, but he might be a little bit rusty? Or do you stick with Zach Wilson, who got the team to the playoffs? We don't even know if that's going to be the case yet. We don't know if Zach Wilson will be able to get this team there, but, they are 1-0. They are coming off a big win over the Buffalo Bills. I don't think anybody thought they were going to win that game when Aaron Rodgers went down. But, this Jets team does have a really good defense with Quinnen Williams, with Quincy Williams, with Sauce Gardner. They got guys that can play and keep points off the board on that defense. So anything is possible with this Jets team. I wouldn't write them off just yet. We just have to be patient and see how everything unfolds. But we could be looking at a situation where Aaron Rodgers does have a chance to come back. And that alone is something that the Jets should be very optimistic about, because, if he can bounce back and get back on the field, obviously that's going to speed up his recovery, get him back in game shape, getting him on the field again. So if he does come back the following year after this, he's already ahead of the curve because he was able to get back on the field for the playoffs. The other story we have is the Chiefs story. Can the Chiefs bounce back after their loss in week 1 to the Lions? They got the Jags this week. The Jags, over the past year, if you go from this time to now, have gotten a lot better. They go to the playoffs this past year. They beat the Chargers in that playoff game. They won their first game this season. So the Jaguars are a team that are not a cupcake team anymore. They're not that team that finishes dead last in the league, 2 years in a row. They're now a team that's a playoff team. They're now a team that's a competitor. Trevor Lawrence has that team heading in the right direction. They've been one of the most improved teams over the past year. So can the Chiefs bounce back and win this game and get back on track and get back in the win column? Because that's really what they need to do to make sure they don't fall too far behind, because remember, they're the defending Super Bowl champions. They want a chance to repeat. There's still plenty of time to get this thing back on track and right the ship, but they have to stop the negative streak at 1 loss and win this game against the Jaguars, which won't be easy to do because, like I said, the Jaguars are one of the most improved teams over the past year. Now, if there's anything that is going in the Chiefs' favor, they get Travis Kelce back this week and they get Chris Jones back this week. 2 of their best players, one on each side of the ball, will be back for this game, which is going to help them so much against the Jaguars. I think if Travis Kelce was available in that Lions game, I think they beat the Lions just because they're going to put 1 or 2 more touchdowns up in that game against the Lions. So there's no doubt if Travis Kelce just played, I think the Chiefs would have beat the Lions just because Travis Kelce is capable of going for 2 or 3 touchdowns every single time he steps on the field. Not to mention all the big plays he provides for that offense. He's just been so good. Even just this past year, how good he was. One of the better years he's had in his career. So just a player that is a big play waiting to happen, a guy that Patrick Mahomes relies on so much to, open up the passing attack. Having him back completely changes things for the Chiefs. And then they get Chris Jones back, who outside of Aaron Donald might be the best defensive tackle in the whole entire league. They sign him on a 1-year deal. They get Chris Jones back, who's going to create a ton of pressure, who's going to get in the offensive backfield and create some tackles for losses. A guy who knows how to get pressure on the quarterback. So many things that he does well at the line of scrimmage, and he helps the Chiefs win at the line of scrimmage, which is so important in the National Football League when you have those big bodies, having a clash of the Titans at the line of scrimmage. Well, you're going to see those offensive linemen get blown back more frequently with Chris Jones on the field, and he's going to get into the backfield like he always does, like he has a knack for doing, and he's going to create those big plays for the Chiefs defense and help them get off the field on third down, which is so critical in the National Football League. So the Jaguars are really going to have their hands full in this game, and they could easily stumble and lose to the Chiefs. Obviously, the Chiefs have to be the favorite in this game with Travis Kelce back and Chris Jones back. I think Patrick Mahomes is licking his chops, ready to get back out there because he's got a bad taste in his mouth after losing to that Lions team. For Patrick Mahomes, losing to the Lions is definitely embarrassing for him. He's not happy with that outcome at all. I promise you that. Andy Reid, he wants to get back to winning too. One of the best coaches in the league. So, the Chiefs are going to try to respond to everything that happened this past week against the Lions. They're aching to get out there and punch somebody in the mouth, which is going to be tough for the Jaguars because they're going to get the best of the Chiefs because they can't have another letdown like they did this past week. So you look at the Jaguars offense, Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, those guys are going to have to score a lot of points to be able to compete. I know the Chiefs are weak at wide receiver, but Travis Kelce, like I said, 2 or 3 touchdowns per game by himself, so he can produce more than all the Jaguars' weapons can just alone by himself. That's how good Travis Kelce is, why he has a chance to go down as one of the best tight ends of all time and a real shot at being the best tight end ever because Travis Kelce delivers when it comes time to handle his business. I think the Chiefs wide receivers really have to step up in this game too. Not necessarily just to win the game. Obviously, it will be very important, for the Chiefs wide receivers to step up to win this game. But I think they could win with just Travis Kelce there balling out and taking over and the other plays that they get from the other guys. But not only that, the Chiefs wide receivers have to step up to prove that they belong in the National Football League as a group of wide receivers that can perform at this level. Some of the guys they have, they're young and they're unproven. You look at Kadarius Toney, he's got to be better. He had drops in that game against the Lions. He's got to prove that he's capable of taking over this Chiefs team and being one of the top guys at the wide receiver position because they need something outside of Travis Kelce. I like Watson, the tight end. He seems to make plays for them, but the wide receiver position does have to do something just so they can prove that they are good enough to carry the torch, so to say, for the Chiefs. Because they do have one of the worst wide receiver rooms in the league. There's no denying that. They're just not very good. They lost Juju Smith-Schuster, and, I'm not going to talk Juju Smith-Schuster up that much, but, he leaves, and they're noticeably worse for the Chiefs. Marcus Valdes-Scantling has to be the guy that is the vertical threat. He has to step up and make some big plays. It's just something that has to happen because who else is going to do it? Tony's dropping balls. The other guys aren't performing that well. Sky Moore's got to be better. He's got to make some plays for this offense and show that, he's capable of being a reliable player for this Chiefs offense. But to me, Marcus Valdez-Scantling without Juju Smith-Schuster, he's got to be the receiver because he's good enough to go vertical. He's good enough to make plays down the field. And, with Mecole Hardman not there anymore either, someone's got to be able to stretch the field vertically because Travis Kelce is going to handle everything else. They just need one of the wide receivers to really step up, and I think Valdez-Scantling can go vertical. I think he can get behind the secondary, create plays down the field that kind of energizes the Chiefs offense. He was able to do that this past year on the Super Bowl run, make big plays and show that he is reliable. So for me, when I look around that Chiefs wide receiver room, it is Marquez Valdez-Scantling that has to be the guy that really takes control of this wide receiver room and says, hey, I'm the guy that can lead the way and be the guy outside of Travis Kelce that is, a fundamental piece of this Chiefs offense. I think, he is a big play guy that has enough burst to be able to outrun some people. I think, he can really help Patrick Mahomes, stretch the field vertically, and that's exactly what they need because Travis Kelce is going to take care of all the stuff over the middle. Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to dink and dunk over the middle to Travis Kelce, and he's going to turn up field and break off long runs because that's what he does. If they get Marcus Valdez-Scantling running down the sideline and they're able to take some shots deep, suddenly the offense starts to resemble the old Chiefs offense that we're used to seeing, and that's when this team will start to, click and start to, be a high-functioning offense again to the point where, okay, we can kind of see that they resemble the team that was able to win a Super Bowl again. And then you have Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore playing their roles and chipping in where they can, get in where they fit in and make those plays here and there. But to me, obviously, Travis Kelce, the number one, the guy that's going to bring everything to the table. Marcus Valdez-Scantling working the vertical plays, a little bit of Sky Moore here, a little bit of Kadarius Toney there. Then the Chiefs are back, and they're performing at a high level again. And, they're right back in the hunt, being the team that can win games and being a team that, is the cream of the crop in the AFC again. That's what it's going to take. So keep an eye on Marcus Valdez-Scantling in this game. He's a guy that's got to step up, prove his worth to this offense, have a big game. And then obviously keep an eye on Travis Kelce. He's back. We know what he's going to bring to the table for this team. He's going to play, lights out football like he always does. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this latest episode of the Cross the Middle Show. I appreciate it. I'm John Kuzma. I'm signing off. Before that, just sign up for $1 per month by clicking the link in the episode description box. Take care.